Okay, so this is going to be a lecture on how you can set up a project for two people to coordinate using GitHub. So there's different ways you can do this. I'm just going to show you my workflow on this. So what I would do is start off by making a new repository. Your homework assignments could be called like volleyball or something like that. Volleyball, Shipperty or something like that. Whatever. Just call it volleyball for short. How about Cuddly Octo System? No, that's right. And this is can be called delete me. And I'll make it a public repo so somebody could coordinate with me if they want. Add a README file, sure, why not? Get ignored template, we're going to set it to C++. By the way, this is on github.com. You have to make an account. I assume you know how to do that already. Choose a license. We're going to choose the GPL so that Richard Stallman does not teleport next to me and look at me disapprovingly. So, for your homework assignment, though, you should make it private so that people can't plagiarize from you. So certainly in the past, students have made their homework repos public, and then people will turn in copies of other people's homework assignments, and then they get to talk to the dean, and that's fun. There are multiple people this semester that are no longer with us because they plagiarized off of GitHub. So when I create new, it creates a new repo called volleyball. And I'm going to go and copy here. So I click on the code thing here, and I click on the little copy thing here. And I'm going to go onto the server. And I'm just going to find, I don't know, some random place. And I'm going to type git clone, and I paste that URL that was copied right there. This is going to create a new directory called volleyball, wherever I am. And the starting files are within it. So you can see the GPL is inside of here, GPL version 3. If you want to learn about the freedoms of the GPL, more than welcome to do that. And then there's a README file where you can put a description of your project and things like that. But that doesn't particularly matter because this is going to be a private repository. If you do a public repository like for a portfolio or something like that, you want to have a nice README file. And the README files, you can like add in like markup and things like this. Like integer x is equal to read and hi, this is a demo readme.md file. And it's in something called Markdown, which might look familiar if you've used like Discord or Reddit and things like that. So if I save this, let me show you how to like update a file. So I've cloned it, and now I'm going to do git add everything in the current directory. I'm going to do git commit with a message. The message is updated readme, like that. And then I'm going to do a git push, and that uploads the thing into GitHub. And so if I check on here, and if I refresh the repo, you will see that, hey, look, the description, that message that I put right there, updated README, it's right there. And if I click on that, you will see that it has that updated text within it. And in fact, the README file will appear right here. So the README file appears below the list of all the files in your repository. So it's nice. It's good times. But I want to bring in like all of my volleyball code, right? How often should you do commits? Pretty often, I would say. I wouldn't commit something that doesn't compile. That seems like a bad idea. So I'd work on it until it was at least in some kind of a working condition, probably. And then I would check it in. I'd push it. So let me show you how to get the actual source code, the demo code for your current project. Your current project is a combination, like I said, of volleyball, Battleship, and Jeopardy with networking, with some file I/O stuff. So if you go into your volley Shipperty directory, you'll see there's some .c files, .h files, some little of this, a little of that. I'm going to copy all of that into my volleyball directory. The tilde means home directory, by the way. Dot means the current directory. Star means everything in the current directory. Tilde means your home directory. Just dot means up a directory. CD by itself takes you back home. I'm going to go into the volleyball directory, and you can see all the stuff's in there. I'm going to do a make clean, And I'm going to edit my getignore file. You don't have to do this, but it might be a good idea. Adding client and server. And then I will git add dot, git commit message added, and let's do like initial. Git push, goes up. It would ask you for your password. Then what you're going to have to do is when you're on GitHub, you're going to have to generate a personal access token. You can't use your actual password anymore. So you go over to, nope, not sign out. Click too fast on that one. You're going to go to settings, not sign out. There we go. Down to developer settings, and you're going to go to personal access tokens, tokens classic, generate a new token, classic, and this will be called delete me, whatever. And you're going to do repo and save. And then this here is a password. So you copy this. Once you close this, this window, this password never comes back. And so once you close out, it's gone. So if I forgot to write that down, it's gone. I'm going to delete this just so that nobody can use that because it's on the recording. But you can set personal access tokens to have like a duration of like 30 days or something like that. But either way, I've copied that, and so when I come in here, if I were to shift insert paste it, here's the password. Doesn't mean anything. I've revoked it already. But that is the password that it made for me. If I tried uploading here where I did git push, it asks for my username. I type in my username for the password. You give that. You give the personal access token. You do not give your GitHub password. You have to make a personal access token, and it creates a password for you that you can use. And it could be good for 7 days, for 30 days, forever, whatever. I have it set to save my credentials, and so I don't have to constantly be typing that stuff in because it's annoying. You do you, though. But if it asks you for your name and password, you type in your username, and then you have to create a personal access token as your password. Copy paste it in there, and you probably want to like save it into a, like here's my, I don't know, them whatever, and like, well, I've lost it at this point. But a lot of people write down their personal access token somewhere. It's not very secure, honestly, because they just put it into Notepad or something. Okay, so if I was to be working with, I don't know, Mincorelli or something, let's say that Mincorelli makes a change. I'm going to simulate that by coming up here, and you can see all those files are now up there. And so I'm going to simulate this by editing the file, maybe, and be like, I like mudkips, like that. And I will commit directly, boom, update, whatever, I like mudkips. Right. Saved, and that automatically commits the change. And now if I come back into the volleyball repository, you can see that it has that comment now. Now, that simulating Mincorelli has done some work because he and I are partnered on this assignment. Okay, so if I were to check my common.h here, it's empty because I have not pulled the data back down from the repo. The repo's changed, but I have not. And so what I do is I will type git pull like that. And you can see that right here, common.h had a change. Cool. And so I will vim common.h. You can see that it says I like mudkips now. And if I were to say, oh, that's misspelled, I could fix the spelling mistake. Do a git add dot, git commit -m, minor typo, fix, git push. That's the workflow, by the way. Git add, git commit, git push. You can probably shell script that if you want. Goes up, and then if you check the volleyball repo now, you can go and see minor typo fix is now here. Click on it, and the thing now spells I like mudkips properly or improperly, depending on your perspective. And so by doing pulls and pushes like this, you can basically share files with one another, and you also have each one of those versions is like saved, right? It's like, this this is the previous version, this is the new version, right? And you can ask it like, who was responsible for this commit, who added this bug? Oh, it was me. Right? So you can go through and get the file history for any of the files in here. So if you accidentally delete a file, you can always just pull it back down. And as long as you don't like nuke the repository, then everything's all good. Okay. And I am going to nuke the repository, but I'm not going to do it on video because I don't want you doing it. But just make sure that your repository is not public. If you make it public, unscrupulous students will be able to find your repo and copy your file, and then you'll get in trouble for cheating as well. So what do you do for this? So yeah, if you've never used Git before, it's going to ask you to type in your email and name. So you literally just run that line of code right there, except change you@example.com to your email address on GitHub and punch in your name here. You only have to do that once, and then it will save that into your account. So that's a one-time thing you have to do. And that is basically all there is to GitHub. So if I were to type this up into a document, vim instructions.txt, initial setup would involve running git config global user.email bob@bob.com or whatever your email address is. Create a private repository on GitHub. Copy the URL for it, which is code right there. Git clone. Or whatever the URL was. And then you're basically good to go. You could probably add a contributor, your partner, and they need to accept the invite. So, for example, for Mincarelli's repository, he added me as a contributor. So I can pull this down and I can upload it. Under mine, Mincarelli is not a contributor because I just literally created it this second. So let's go about doing that. So I'm going to click on settings. I'm going to go on to collaborators and I'm going to go to add people and I'm going to type in his name, whatever that is, A2. There we go. Add him. And so you have to know what your partner's username is. So Mincarelli has now been invited to be a collaborator on this. And this is what you have to do if it's a private repo, right? If it's a private repository, you have to invite them. Otherwise, they can't see it. And so once he logs in, he would see a little bell right here. And he would get a little notification like, hey, you've been invited to be a collaborator. You hit yes. So, contributor, partner, under settings. Okay, then your workflow is going to be git pull to get the latest version, edit your files, and get them working the way you like it. Get a getting your personal access token is under Settings, developer, what is it called? Developer settings, personal access tokens. This is basically your password when you push to your repo. Okay. So write this down. You can always revoke them and make a new one. Like some people don't write it down and they just use Git to cache their credentials. And if they ever need to type in their password again, they'll just generate a new personal access token and type in the password there. And they just do that once a week or so. That's what you do. Yeah. So they don't have the security risk of having their text file lying around with their password in it. So max people in a group is 2. I might allow 3 if somebody's left over. All right. Set your files in working when you like it. Okay. Then we do a get add dot and then get commit -m with the change message and then git push. And you are going to repeat steps 1 through 5 all the time. You don't need to do a pull. Only do this if there's changes on the repo. Like you don't have to do that if you're like working by yourself. Like you're going to be up to date, all right? So, but that is it's not too bad. Like using GitHub is not too bad. The setup can be a little bit annoying. The personal access tokens was a change that I'm not really a huge fan of, just due to the fact that it requires, like most people will just put into their notepad, they just have a text file on their desktop. And so if somebody were to just access their desktop, they'd be able to get their password and nuke all of the repositories and things like that, which I'm not a super big fan of. I think it's actually less secure than like having a password manager, that at least encrypts it and it makes it hard to get the actual password out. Or harder to get the password out than a text file. Yeah, the setup is a little bit annoying, but yeah, that workflow, basically, if you're going to have 2 people working, a lot of times you can either take turns working on the file, or you can have people work on different files. That avoids merge conflicts. Because you're going to have a problem if, like, both me and Mincarelli pull down the same file, we change it, we both commit it. Which one's the right one? I don't know. And so then you get what's called a merge conflict, and then you get to go onto GitHub and look at the differences in the files and kind of like make a Frankenstein, putting things together into the right place. It's not fun. I would just communicate with your partner on it. Or you can work by yourself. That's fine too. But even if you work by yourself, you are going to have to use GitHub, because what you're going to submit to me is you're probably going to have to add me as a collaborator. You're going to submit to me the repo, and I'm going to look at it. And every couple days, you are going to come out with a new feature. We're doing agile development, and you're going to get 10 points each time. And I'm going to look at your GitHub history and see that you've been cranking on it, And then at the end of it, you're going to have something that's going to look pretty good in your portfolio. This is going to be a nice portfolio project. It's worth a lot of points. It's going to be hard, but it's only hard if you don't do it. So that's kind of like the 20-minute overview of GitHub. I'm now going to stop the recording, and I'm going to talk more about specifically the homework assignment itself.